welcome back to the show. As you can see, we have two special guests with us, Mr. Paladin, Mr. Ella Myn, Mr. Paladin himself is back. Welcome back.
Hey, glad to be back.
And we have a new friend, Zell, our new Admiral. Hello.
What's going on, guys?
What's up? How you guys doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Okay,
a lot of
let's
great
jump.
stuff going on right now.
All right, let's jump right into it. We have a new Admiral, like I said. Ella, do you want to introduce this?
Yeah, so Zell's actually been one of our regional generals for a while, and he's been kind of pulling the weight of an admiral, regional general, and then an FC and a few other things all at once. And we've finally been able to get our ducks in a row and get him actually promoted into the admiral role. So pretty excited about that. Along with that, that also gave us the chance to find some other people to kind of bring up to support that regional general role, and I'll let Zell talk about that a little too.
Yeah, I was a little bit on the fence because obviously it's a lot to do, and we have been training a lot of fleet commanders and commanders in Gemini, and over the past few weeks we've had some really awesome rising stars coming out, and one of them that stood out really well for his activity, for his ability to learn very quickly, and to really lean into the military system was Randall Thor. And so, with that being said, with his ability to do, he stood out to me as immediately as a good replacement for the regional general slot, which is why he's in that slot now. So we're happy to have him, and he's kicking ass, man. He's doing really well right now.
Awesome. Let me pull up the ranks in case people forgot.
Sure. Along with that, what it's also doing is we're getting to a point where we can start to get more people into the places to try to support some of the weight and impact that's been landing on the admirals and regional generals lately. One of the side effects of the server war, the botting war that we're in right now, is that on top of all of the strategic operations and CTAs and raiding fleets that are going on anyway, we're now coordinating with several of our allies to move forces entirely across the map to the other side of New Eden for fleets, and the coordination that's involved in that is pretty big.
Yeah.
So having more people to kind of help with that coordination at that level has been fantastic. And even before he was officially the regional general, I just want to say, like, Rand was already jumping in and helping out and making sure that we were meeting our commitments as an alliance to our partner alliances in this war.
So we're just looking at this again for people who are still not familiar with the military ranking. Admiral is the highest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we used to have 3, now we have 4, right?
Yeah, so at the moment we have 3 active. We have one that has stepped down from being active for the moment, and that was due more to just some commitments out of game and some difficulties, or well, not difficulties, just more had to take care of some stuff out of game. So we wanted to make sure that he had the ability to do that, and that was also, it wasn't the reason Zell got promoted, but Zell joining the admirals kind of kept a lot of what he was managing still functioning. So that was part of it.
Sure. And again, the regional general is, like you said, coordinating defense, FC rosters, intel for given region. Regional general, which is this region specific again?
Yeah, so we have 2 regions, and Zell, I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of what you've done and what Rand's doing now as a regional general within, in this case, Gemini?
Yeah, so Rand has really taken the reins on of controlling an entire region, and that comes primarily with the objective of solidifying our defenses, making sure that we're regular in our PvP activities in that region. And then with that, he has like a little bit of wiggle room around his region to be able to plan strategic operations and attack operations and such. Overall, it's really his focus is on Geminate. Obviously, we have like you were saying earlier, we have some operations in where we partake in across all of Eve and helping our allies. So he'll also participate in those because he's considered to be one of our lead commanders as well. So we'll throw him into the fire with that, but that's where he more, regional generals will get more involved with the admirals in that aspect because the admirals really are taking more charge and planning those operations. And then we have, our regional generals and wing commanders and Ravager captains that help fulfill those responsibilities.
I see. Awesome.
Actually, while we're on the topic,
yes.
With our wing commanders and our regional generals, so Zal, I know we've been really coordinating closely with GenFED and with SHH Alliance or Silent Alliance in terms of working with them, sending fleets out to coordinate with them. Is that something that you could talk a little bit about? Like talk about kind of how we do that or the way in which we manage to coordinate across the server?
It's definitely been a challenge. I'll say that, with as we are a new, we're the first coalition really to try and achieve these kind of objectives across different regions in the game. And, that being said, we have to install a structure. We have to install several different things to help make that happen. And, communication, obviously, getting in touch with each other. So it's definitely a challenge. There's a lot going on in the background when it comes to planning, not just between myself, but between, GenFED's military directors, along with SHH and their military directors. I've been working alongside Tahini over with SHH. I mean, it's been, a really phenomenal experience to be able to work with him, along with Arya over in GenFED. Both fantastic commanders and know what it takes to get stuff done in this game. So, when you're paired with awesome people like that, it definitely streamlines things a lot easier. But yeah, it's a lot of work. I could get into some details about it, but that's OPSEC. So, but know that it involves a lot of communication and a lot of planning.
Before we listen to Ella, what is our official name? Eve Coalition. For our, it's official, right? Eve, the name.
The Eve Coalition. I'm not sure actually. I think we kind of played with that a little bit, but we needed to solidify our coalition name.
Yeah, I have seen that we have in our public materials, we are the Eve Coalition,
Nice.
specifically targeting a reduction, if not elimination, in botting as a tactic used by other alliances. That is what we are attempting to do here, and for the most part, we've been fairly successful in doing so. We're also seeing a lot of individuals. We're seeing a lot of individuals who were grouped with alliances that were allowing or even recommending is not the word I want, but the groups that were allied with alliances that were botting or that were open to botting behavior within their ranks.
Being permissive.
Permissive, yeah. We're seeing a lot of those groups are leaving, or either by the Corp or by the Alliance entirely, and saying, we're not interested in supporting botting. We were interested in being part of the alliance that you were building, but if you're not willing to consider or desist in your botting, then we don't want to do that anymore. We're also starting to see some organizations that are, we're seeing some alliances that are desperately trying to defend their partner alliances in terms of botting as well. And in some cases, we have examples of that botting, and just it's difficult to answer all those questions all the time and to get those examples out to them. But at the same time, it's possible that some of these enemies are actually starting to desist in their botting, in allowing botting. One of the problems that we're also having, though, is if we have an alliance that has stopped botting, that's great. But if they're still sending support, or if they're still trying to support alliances that are botting, like DP, they're not necessarily, like, they haven't pulled themselves out of the war yet. They have not disengaged from this war until they are no longer, and can show that they are no longer supporting, either with fleets or even with information. That's one of the big things that happened early in the war, is that there was information being sent. There were OPSEC items being sent to DP, and if you're going to support a botting alliance, you've pretty much signed up on the other side, and that's something that we're trying to help create a pathway for those groups out of being in support of that botting behavior, whether directly or indirectly.
Okay, my mic was off. I should talk about my observations. From my side, just hearing from the spies and spying myself. Yes, we have lots of spies. We're seeing a lot less bots, and that's mission accomplished for us, because that was the ultimate reason why we started the war, and now we're winning that, because we're seeing lots and lots and lots less bots. Usually, like, we log in, we fly around, we see bots everywhere in that region. But now I try to log in, at different time zones, Asia Prime, Euro Prime, our Prime, different time zones. Very rarely do I see bots anymore. So that's definitely a good sign. Also,
it's a dramatic difference, I'd say.
Yeah, dramatic. It's very dramatic.
And I think it's really important here to call out that there are some telltale signs that it's a bot and not just somebody multi-boxing.
Oh yeah.
Like, we want to be clear, we have no problem with multi-boxing, and we do see it a lot. We see a lot of our opponents multi-boxing, and while we're at war, yes, we're still going to come and blow you up if we can, but we're not going to use it as an example of you botting. If we, like I said in one of the previous things, there's a big difference between every single one of your lasers hits the asteroid at the exact same time for 5 or 6, server ticks in a row. That kind of precision is not something that can be exemplified by an individual with multiple accounts, unless you're using some sort of a macro or botting experience. So there are things that we are looking for, and we're not trying to be, as I said before, the police of the server, but we are very much trying to be respectful of our word and say, look, if we're seeing examples, or if you are supporting people where we are seeing examples of botting, and that support goes all the way to, like, you may have pulled out, you may no longer be sending ships, but until you are publicly saying we want none of this, we are not aligned with these people, we are not willing to support them anymore, and we will not be passing them information anymore, you're still a target. I'm sorry. That's how this works.
To just share with people how GenFED's been dealing with this. GenFED has something like 8,000 pilots. Okay, and they found like 2 people who were breaking the law, like they were botting or something, and then they kicked them right away. Like, I think they actually kicked them first before confirming with the evidence. But that's how we deal with it too. As soon as we find evidence of somebody botting, we just kick them out, and that's how everybody should behave, right? We want to keep this game clean.
But yeah, we have that in our own corp. We found an example of a botting. In fact, we had somebody that said botting is an okay thing and we should do it.
Oh.
And This was actually before the war, and we actually pulled them aside and had a very strong conversation with them. And at the end of the conversation, we as a leadership group could not be sure that this person wouldn't start botting, and we asked them to leave. And it's that simple. It kind of stinks, especially if there's somebody that you like playing with. But we can't be hypocrites about this.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
we managed to get a footage of one of our fights. Since we're talking about the war, why don't you guys tell us as we're watching this what's going on?
Oh, this is 709. This, as you can see, GenFED. Mamasaurus Rex had a very special request for this operation. This was an outpost that was deployed, that came out of a hold timer by DP and friends. And well, in our war efforts, we decided to join in this operation and help destroy it. We were expecting a fight, but they did not show up. Because as you can see, this is an early timer. This is in DP's prime time, and we were actually managed to bring about 300 pilots into this one.
Nice.
But yeah, Mamasaurus Rex, she had a special request to make sure that we stayed clear of this beautiful snow globe that she set up. All in an effort to get a good photo op. She wanted to set up a station snow globe. It turned out pretty nice. But yeah, this was one of our primary operations that we did with GenFED, and it was real pleasure flying with them and being able to help them with this outpost. That was a long op, though. Omis is not close to us, that's for sure.
yeah.
I bringing my spy over there. I found do we have the same pathway to HiSec, like through Unreal, or is there another way to Omist? You know what I'm talking about? Like going from Omist to HiSec.
From Omist to HiSec, you can get through Impasse and then over into Conid. That's probably the quickest way for them, or they can take Enrail as well. But I most likely see them rolling through Impasse
Because they know
the majority of the time.
Because they probably know Unreal. Because like I said, when I went there, I just went through Unreal because this is basically ours.
Well, you know when to expect a lockdown in Enrail. That helps for you.
Yeah. Here it comes. Look at that thing.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oof. Yeah.
And then this is us saying GenFED? Hello, GenFED? Or
yes. Yeah, we were giving our respect to GenFED during this op. But we actually had this was a joint operation between myself, at least as far as FCs go, myself, Rand, and Polobot. And we want to make sure we're giving our respect to our fellow coalition allies, and they did the same for us. I believe here soon you'll see it.
I want to take a chance to also call out for really call out a lot of respect for our military commanders, for our FCs, especially our Ravager captains and wing commanders, because for Zell and I, well, for Zell more than me, there's a lot of, all right, we've got an op. It needs to start at this point. It's not anywhere near us, and it's going to be really early in the morning. Like, our FCs are amazing. Like, they will work really hard to make sure that somebody picks it up, that person is prepped. I've seen somebody pick up an op who wasn't really sure what they were getting into, and 5 other FCs got into comms and got into channels with them to kind of walk through what they had just seen in the last op.
Yeah.
What they're expecting. Somebody else said, hey, I've got intel on this, let me give it to you. Our FCs are really, really working together on this, and I really, really appreciate how many of them we are seeing pitch in and get out there. Like, there are FCs from other alliances where it's like, that's the primary FC, that's the person that's clearly running this op. For us, that could be one of 6 different people on any given time.
I'd say we pride ourselves on the ability to to work together. You know, like the Golden Horde is such a large entity, and with that, we don't really assign, you know, specific, hey, this is the only person that does this or anything like that. We all work together, we all help each other, and that's what really has built this community into something as to what it is now, for sure.
One of the really neat things about it in the last couple fleets, what we've really seen is we have been bringing a lot of other corps into the fold, in a lot of alliances, even into the Golden Horde, and some of our more recent alliances that have joined have been not English speaking. We have several Russian groups that have joined us, and one of the things that I've been doing very recently, and where I've been spending a lot of my time, has been finding ways to build bridges and build communication with those groups and those individuals so that their FCs can start to get together with our FCs and have conversations and talk about tactics. You know, finding the right kind of, trying to think of the right kind of Discord bots to allow for instant translations in channels. You know, really help to create that sense of community. And as a result, what we've seen is in the last couple operations, we've had an individual, like a primary FC, then 6 additional FCs controlling different fleets in different languages. And I know this is something that GenFED's been doing for a while, but for us, we've had the ability to do it. We've just never really capitalized on that ability until very recently. And now what we're starting to see is very massive force increases because we're able to share in this with some of our new friends.
Yeah, I think that's the talk behind reason for talking about using another like Mumble communication software like Mumble, because for Discord we cannot have like a central command channel, you know what I mean, like so some people can hear one guy, you know, everyone can hear the FC, and some people can hear the translator, you know, and like settings like that.
And right now we have some other we are using other means to manage that deficiency, and I'm not going to talk about what we're using right now because it will be a little bit OPSEC, but there has been conversation about whether or not we could get a Mumble or a TeamSpeak in particular to utilize that kind of 2-level communication. And that involves money and other things that we don't necessarily want to just jump into. But that being said, it's one of the things I love about the people I get to play this game with is that they are resourceful, they are creative, and they are finding ways around problems, sometimes even before I have to tackle them.
I mean,
I'll be a big advocate for TeamSpeak. I mean, I'm an old EVSO, but I don't know how it'll fare on multiple devices is my concern. But we got to figure, like you said, we'll figure something out. We always do.
I honestly did not know Discord can do so much. But again, it's like two-sided sword, double-edged sword. On one end, it can do so much, but at the same time, you have some people who don't even get on Discord.
There's a kind of an anecdote from the last couple days on that one. I mentioned earlier that the admirals and the regional generals have been just having tons of stuff to do, and one thing that came out of that is that we as a group decided to we have a military server that we particularly put all of our PvP folks in, and that gives us the ability to coordinate much cleaner without necessarily having to worry about we can actually have a lot more channels that are stratified so that certain ranks have certain access to certain information, and that really helps us to make sure that we're not accidentally letting information out to a spy. But up until recently, we had only been bringing in people who were actually FCs, or people that corps were like, yes, we want our FC. This is an FC, let them in. And we made the decision to open it up to the pilots, to the pilot level. Problem is, I forgot to tell the server admin to wait a week before doing it. And so all of a sudden I wake up one morning and
OPSEC.
all the pilots are flying in, and I'm going, oh, that's great. I mean, we've got 100 new tickets to let people in.
I saw that.
But that's like, okay, well, we're doing this early. And of course, all of a sudden, a lot of the people that were in the general chat were like, oh no, this server is not safe anymore. and I mean, I hear you. I understand. It took us about 3 hours, and mind you, I was working at my job at the same time. It took us about 5 hours-ish to get 3 or 4 new channels built, to set up a couple other
just some layers, some
additional layers. One of my favorite responses from the flurry of conversations that day was somebody asked what the impact was going to be for removing a certain rank, from removing the team leads from a certain channel, and my response was, well, I suspect what's going to happen is we're about to get a whole lot of overdue promotion requests. We had a lot of team leads that, and a lot of that's because I've, very recently had to kind of start from the top down. We need to make sure that we've got our admirals supported. We've got to make sure that we've got our regional generals supported. Right now, the regional generals and admirals are having conversations about promotion of Ravager captains and wing commanders, and that's going to be an ongoing conversation. So don't expect something to come suddenly tomorrow or suddenly next week, but we're working on that. And then as soon as we've kind of got the ball rolling on that, I can start focusing more on making sure that we're getting the fleet captains where they should be, and the fleet leads actually into the places that they should be. So it's a little bit of, this process just kind of shoved that bottom layer up a little bit quicker, as suddenly everybody was getting promoted into fleet, into team leads and team captain.
Yeah. And I'll definitely say that, like, just to put everybody's minds at ease, the server was designed to house pilots. We wanted to cultivate interest in the military in the actual military server, and then over time, obviously we have corp military directors in place who can sponsor people into team leaders and, and beyond, and get them more involved. But that was really the purpose of the whole sponsorship thing. We don't want people to feel so isolated where they could only get into the server if they were, actually invited in that manner. So just to clarify that and help everybody, it was designed to do this. Yeah, we added a few extra layers, but there was no breach of OPSEC at any point, during this, I'll say a little goof.
So
for,
it just sped up, right? Like you said, it was meant to be sort of a long-term, or at least one more week before it happened.
You could definitely ask Rand, how many layers we have in our server when he got promoted to regional general. There is a lot, that's layered upon layered, to help protect us. So don't worry, guys. It's all put in place.
Awesome.
If you think OPSEC, wait till you get to those kind of ranks. When you hit like wing commander and warlord, oh man.
Yeah.
Be careful what you ask for.
So no worries. We're still in good shape. Let's talk about more lighter topic. Now that the war is winding down, I would say. We're gonna have a more secure space than ever. Ella, do you want to talk about like your plans?
So what's happening right now, and the reason why we talk about the war winding down or starting to kind of let up a little bit is we're still definitely at war with some of the more hardcore members. DP is still kicking. And we're starting. One of the things that's happened though is that a lot of the smaller groups that were in support of DP, that were in support of VVV and Fireflies, like a lot of these smaller groups that were more closely located to Golden Horde space, were raiding us a little bit more frequently. So we may not necessarily see a DP raid come into our space, but we were seeing smaller groups who were in support of them coming into our space and trying to challenge us. Go ahead.
No, yeah, like you're saying, like F2, groups like that.
Yeah, we were also seeing groups like Cove One, and a few other groups that, they came and gave us a fight, and that was great. And one of the things that it meant, though, is it meant that we had to get better. We had to get better at our border control. We had to make sure that we got better coverage during the Asia Pacific time zone. That was an area that we just didn't have as many corps and players that were active during that time. But it's also meant that as a result, some of those corps and some of those alliances have actually tried to step out of this war at this point, either because they fractured or because they've decided that they would rather not have us coming and bashing their citadels out of the sky. And more importantly, they were raiding us, so we felt it was perfectly acceptable for us to raid them back. And we started showing up with some pretty nasty fleets and bomber fleets, and sent a couple actually sizable fleets to go and make their life very difficult, and to really put the hammer down on their commerce, and raid their commerce. And as a result, life got difficult for them, and they stopped raiding us as much. Which is kind of the point. That was what we were trying to go for. But all this is leading into saying we're at a spot right now that there are a lot of people who may have in the past decided they didn't necessarily want to come out and get involved in the middle of a war, or people that said, I like HiSec because I like the ability to, to feel safe when I'm flying around doing things, and I can completely understand that. If you absolutely have to AFK mine because you're working, or some other reason, then yeah, HiSec's the place to do that. But if you're looking to be in a place where you could theoretically HiSec mine when you're at work, but then come PvP and have fun when you're not, we've got some options for you. We're starting to have the ability to get people into our corps and into our alliances a little bit better now. Yeah. We're very excited to pull more people in. We've got lots of great ways to get you involved. And if you're not really sure that it's what you want to do, that's great, but come talk to us, because I have a feeling that we've got some options. And I know that our uni friends are great, for helping people understand whether null's right for them, and we've got some great options.
Yep, we have training, we have like you said, things to do for everyone.
Access control, that's a big thing. Being able to stay in HiSec but then have direct access into nullsec and know that you're safe when you enter, that's a big thing. So come talk to us, guys. We'll give you the best of all worlds at this point.
I talked about this with the other episode in the other with the other guys. It's about building story, making story. Ella, you and I talked about this last time too. Eve is a game about what makes it so different is that we're part of history, we're part of the story. There's no other game is like that, right? If you play like World of Warcraft, you are playing someone else's story. You're role playing someone else. But in this game, you could be role playing someone else, but you are, driving the especially with Soft coming out, you are literally part of history. You're literally writing the story.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that I used to like doing in EVE Online, and we're going to be coming up on this pretty soon, is there was somebody that always used to put together, a couple somebodies that always used to put together these territory over time videos where you could watch a group's control of a region wane and expand and just kind of start to morph until they had this territory, and then oh no, they're crushing in again. And it's always been really interesting to me to see that. This is the first time that I've actually been part of it. In EVE Online, I was never in nullsec. I'm loving it. Being on the inside, being part of that story, being part of watching our territory, and that's something that I think is a little bit unique for us in Golden Horde. Is we are not in the goal of trying to absorb as much territory as we can. We have a very specific territory that we are trying to hold, and when SOV comes out, we have a very specific target for the territory we want to hold, and we have our reasons for wanting to do that. And if any of you that have been part of Bo's talks on Wednesdays know, there's a very clear goal in mind. And because there's that clear goal, because we have a clear understanding of what we want to do and how we want to do it, because our corps have the ability to talk about what we're doing, we are more on the democratic scale of things, or more republic scale of things, where we have representatives at the senior partner council that are saying, yes, this helps us, or no, that hurts us, or let's find a way to find that balance. We're in a position to stay that long course and to be in a place to defend and support our territory as the game goes on, and to get some great content while we're at it.
Yeah, I mean, very excited. Do you guys want to share any of your expectations for when SOV comes out? Supposedly soon this month, right? Before end of this month? End of the year?
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. No, I mean, I'm excited to see what route the devs will take when it comes to SOV. I mean, it's on everybody's mind, obviously, and we want to see things progress. At least for me, I just hope that it's something that they'll give us enough advance notice about, not just drop it on our doorstep. is my hope, at least. If we're talking, this month, I really want to see some nice notices come out explaining us what to expect. Otherwise, it's going to be a fun challenge to overcome in a very quick amount of time.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said about the fact that we have seen the developers stay fairly aligned with EVE Online in some things, and in others they've gone completely off in a new direction, and they've had to in some cases, because this is a mobile game and it has a slightly differentiated player base. But also, SOV is one of those areas where there could be a fairly large very large divergence from the typical EVE world. I mean, the typical EVE world, and one of the reasons why a lot of people are holding their breath and waiting to find out, is SOV in EVE requires some fairly specific, and in some cases some very grueling attention to the game. It requires people to be paying attention to all of the timers. Like, I've seen timer boards that are 6 pages long of all the different things that need to be defended or attacked within the next 2 days. And it's very, like, the idea that a mobile game will carry the same level of interaction in that way with something like EVE Online, I don't know if that's going to be viable for the game or not. I think there's going to have to be the ability to take somebody else's SOV. I think there's going to have to be the ability to prevent them from taking your SOV. But I have to wonder a little bit if it's going to be on the same level of detail, or if, like some other things we've seen in this game, they're going to establish a more simplified version of it, or something that simply says, hey, look, you can set this to be available to be attacked during a certain time. I almost wonder if they're going to copy some of the station timers, but specifically set it where they do now, where you can set the final timer, or something along those lines that will allow players to actually build, or it will allow alliances to build their SOV around their ability to defend it, and not be forced into a scenario where they got unlucky and or they were not able to honor a placement of something and have to go back and start sending people in massive hordes at a time zone that they frankly can't. And that's also, by the way, one of the reasons why the Golden Horde is so focused on trying to expand our time zone coverage. We don't know. It could be that way, and we want to make sure that we're ready for that.
and we're not trying to overextend ourselves either. You know, we control 2 regions, and you know that's what we do. We have full control over GenFED and cache, and we're not trying to expand so much so that we gimp ourselves when it comes to solve in the future. So, you know, everybody's going to be thinking about, everybody's going to have a different strategy. You know, we're a little bit more conservative in that way of, you know, creating fortresses versus, you know, trying to conquer as much as we can. And I think that's really what's going to play well, you know, to what Ella's statements were of, you know, how solve will come about, and, you know, allow us to be the most prepared when it comes.
Yeah.
I'm just excited. Yeah.
Yeah. It also leads into something else, which is a little bit of a conversation about how we, the Golden Horde, we handle blue differently than some other people around us. We tend to be very conservative about marking somebody blue.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it really doesn't have to do with trust. It has to do with the fact that when we mark somebody blue, we mean it. We mean it heavily. But at the same time, because we're not trying to expand out into these other territories, it doesn't mean we're not aware of the impact of those territories. I think a good example of this is the Vale. Hostile forces in the Vale could have a massive impact in our ability to hold Geminate. And so we have to be very careful about that.
Yeah.
And to that end, we've also been very particular about making sure that people who are not trusted, people who are not very trustworthy, or people that we do not have a strong, friendly relationship with, aren't setting up on, you know, in the Vale and on our borders, because it will give them the ability to attack us and hit us very hard if we do. That unfortunately also means for those people that are trying to live in the Vale that we have a much higher bar for what we consider to be trustworthy. You know, we're going to actually care that, you know, that intel gets passed when it shouldn't, or something along those lines.
All right. I wanted to show you guys something I found.
I was looking at that video of my buddy Omega. Shout out to him.
Yeah. That's not something I found. That's something we made. Let's talk about this. I just wanted to say again, this is our new Asian only, or not Asian only, but Asian time zone alliance.
Yeah.
They're already expanding, I believe.
They're doing really well.
Yeah, and I hope you guys help them train some FCs, because I think that's the biggest need right now.
And that is happening, and we're starting to see a lot more participation, and we've definitely seen IOP especially showing up to a lot more recently, and that's very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, we're working I'm working closely with Omega and his crew. We have scheduled talks regularly. I mean, I know he mentioned that we go back when it comes to our relationship, and it just makes me really happy to see that his corp and, you know, is flourishing in this environment, because it was really cool to see that. He's been a good friend of mine for a while.
Nice. Yeah, they're really nice people.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah. I forgot to talk about it in the episode with them, is that they both invite us, because COVID is essentially over for them, so they're back to normal. And but you know, when it's over for us, when we can travel again, they welcome all of us, any one of us, to from the Horde to visit them, and they'll buy us. So they didn't mention this, right? IOP, Omega, he works in a nightclub in Taiwan, and he's so basically, if you go, you're gonna get free drinks. Free shots, and then
I'll hook you up, man.
And then when COVID's over, I'm probably gonna have to make some business trips out to Taiwan. So
to visit, you know, our business partners. You know,
he's
but
an animal,
actually,
man.
something from that video that I did want to talk about was, right now we've had I'm really excited about how we've been able to bring in more additional folks from the Asian time zone.
Yeah.
But what I'm most excited is that it means that we're in a lot better place to be welcoming, to create a welcome atmosphere for anyone whose primary language is not English, or his primary language is Chinese, especially for people who are located in China. One of the big things we've been really talking about in this war is that we are not discriminating, and we are very excited to get people from China into our family. We've just had to be very careful in the past because, you know, we couldn't have that conversation to say, hey, let's build a trust. And that's something that we are fixing. That is something that we are very, very specifically trying to fix, because that is not the world we want to live in. That is not where we want to be. We want to be incredibly open in terms of welcoming, you know, new family members into our family, and that definitely includes individuals from China.
Speaking of China, this is my part of my work. What I've been doing is posting our videos on this Chinese website. It's like the YouTube of China.
Yeah. Actually, I was really kind of hoping that someday you it probably won't help us necessarily unless you put subtitles in, but I would love to see an episode that's actually in Chinese or in Russian sometime. I know that might not help. You might not be able to do Russian, but I think that would be really
others. Yeah, totally.
The thing is, we've been getting requests from not DP players, obviously, but other Chinese players, just asking us to do more because they want to learn English. And they treat our videos as
Chinese,
English
so,
learning lessons.
What was that joke that was on the devs read mean comments?
Oh yeah.
That NetEase wants everybody to learn Chinese.
That's funny.
I thought that was really funny, because you know, we have some Chinese verbiage in there, and it's actually been a cool experience to be able to dive into, you know, different languages, you know, here in our alliance, and I appreciate it, certainly being able to have that challenge of learning how to break some of those language barriers just by, hey, you know, you can learn a few words here and there. I've had Omega trying to teach me some Chinese words. I won't showcase them here because they're not polished yet, you know, but they're a work in progress.
Yes. One thing this is like a long-term project for me, like working in the culture part, is starting these you know, lessons like outside of the game, meta game, like even language lessons, you know. Small groups like veterans, that's a big part. Veterans, we're trying to get our veterans together to talk about everything, and just, you know, small groups like that. We have veterans going on, we have like language learning and things like that, so let's look forward to that.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
so
sounds awesome.
Tell me what you guys think about, have you guys used this website called echoes.gg?
Yes, and Zell, I think this one's going to align a little bit closer to a lot of what you're doing, especially as we work, and this is also a little bit of a shout out to everyone in the Golden Horde that, you know, we are working very closely on doctrine fits and what we can do to make that a more seamless process. But I'm going to kick it over to Zell here.
It's not working.
Yeah, well, as you can see, I love the concept. I mean, an e-fitting tool was my best friend when I was playing, you know, EVE Online. So having an Echoes version would be phenomenal. But for me, you know, I'm just waiting for it to become a little bit more reliable. I want to say, as far as the numbers go, you know, it's getting better, hands down. It has, you know, but tools like these are, you know, what we need in order to be able to function, you know, a lot higher and quicker level for sure.
Yeah. They can also be a good first step, like, hey, what if I tried to do something like this? But unfortunately, when we're talking at a doctrine level, when we're talking at a the kind of level that Zell in particular and Zell's team that works on doctrines is playing at, if you go and build a fitting in an external source like this, and the numbers are off, what's going to happen is you're going to come back and try to build a prototype of that in the game and find out that you're off. And then it's going to take you even more time to go and try to fix it, because you're going to have to go buy new modules that you didn't have to buy before. You're going to have to go, like, honestly, at this point, unfortunately, you're almost better off having access to an alliance's worth of random modules sitting in a hangar somewhere. And you just pull up a hull, it'd start pulling them out and fitting them in, and pulling them out and fitting them in, and putting them back, until you find something that works. Take a shot of that, save that fitting, then put all the stuff back.
Yeah.
But I mean, you almost have to do it that way. But I'm really excited for these to keep working. I want to see these get to that point. And I saw you bring up the kill mail one too. Like, I'd love for a Z kill again, and we're not there yet. Like, this sounds great and it looks great, but does it have the level of, like, is it actually keeping track, or are there holes in it? Like,
so the way this EE kills is working is they take screenshots and they take letter recognition. So it tries to pull off info from the screenshots, the kill mail screenshots. And
so you have to post your screenshots to this location?
Yeah. But the obvious problem is the screenshot does not show all the party involved, right? It shows how many participants, but it does not show all the names of all the pilots involved.
And that's nice. That's a great first step. And I mean,
sure,
I'm project manager.
It's. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, being a project manager by trade, like, you start with minimum viable. You create you create the minimum that you can do, and then you iterate on that. You keep building on that, and this is a great iteration. This is a great first step. This is how you go from nothing at all to having a cohesive, viable kill recognition system within Eve Echoes. And it's going to take a few iterations, but it'll get there. So I'm excited to see this moving.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, granted that the method they're pulling information is it's impressive. We don't have the tools yet with the API to be able to just pull information like we would in EVE Online. So I gotta say, this is pretty cool.
Very impressive. Again, so they pulled the name of the final blow and top damage, and so the loss in ISK pretty accurately. So yeah, like Ala said, it's better than nothing. and I think this is the best we can do before API comes out.
Yeah.
And then again, the tools, the fitting tools, none of them are working. So we have no tools.
And they were actually, like, Echoes GG was actually working fairly well for a little bit, but
I was using
at some point it actually starting to diverge a little bit more. I'm excited to see if they're able to pull that back together and get that working again. I haven't played with the other one, but there were multiple fitting tools in EVE Online, and they took years to develop and get to the point where you could use them reliably. So one of the other things that I am a little bit concerned about with Echoes GG is that at least in the beginning, there was some question as to whether or not the fittings that were being saved or put in were being stored separately, and whether people had access to those. For instance, the site creators or the site administrators. If those site administrators were part of certain alliances, they could suddenly have access to fittings that other alliances were trying to put together. Exactly. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it is concerning if true.
They didn't really disclose that.
That's why R4 and I will be doing everything manually. At least for now.
Yeah, I mean, at least before API comes out, this is like the only way to do it.
And I want to iterate for all of our pilots. Like, that is something that is happening right now for us. We are reviewing our doctrines. So for everybody that's been clamoring for more doctrine information, it is coming. We are working on it. The way we previously put doctrines together was not scalable, and we had to redefine how we developed our doctrines. We have done that now, and we are going to start seeing doctrine information flowing a little bit better soon.
Nice. All right, we're coming up to the hour mark here. Any closing thoughts, shout-outs you guys want to get out before we call it?
It was great being on the show again, and I just want to make a shout out, especially to all of the FCs, especially the ones that have been really making it work. I know that the last couple weeks have been a little bit tight for some people, and there have been some people getting up a little bit earlier in the morning than they wanted to, or going to bed a little bit later than they wanted to, and it's being noticed. We are seeing the effort that people are putting in, and it's incredible. The stories that are coming back from these fleets are great. Like, just people are coming back, they're sharing their stories, like, oh, this was great, this was fun. That's what we want. That's what this game is. Like,
Yeah.
the people who are making that content. Thank you.
We're seeing such a big flourish, right now for both. I mean, I know that was originally occurring, in cash, and now Gem, and it's really starting to explode, and it's really awesome to see. We have such great people here in this alliance, and I'll make a shout out, to a few names. Obviously Rand, One Shot, Drake, you guys are all doing a fantastic job, as well as if we're looking into our specific commanders, we have Dragonborn and Valia. They both have been working diligently in educating people and helping them to get involved, running operations regularly. I mean, it's been fantastic. And then you jump down and you got Polobot, you got, Wax, Quincy, Shack Attack, who led an awesome op yesterday. All of these guys, they're all active and avid people, and Risky as well. They're Theratos. They're all looking to help you. And that's if you're looking for an active alliance, PvP and PvE wise, Golden Horde's got so many resources and so many awesome people, to where we're constantly looking to help one another and watch each other's backs and build one another up. So that's why I'll always stick around with this community for sure.
I also want to
add, guys.
Yeah, I also want to add Ryu Haibasa into that. Like, our bomber wing is kind of a very silent, the unheard heroes here.
Oh yeah.
They've been going way deep into enemy territory. They've been doing it at all hours of the day. And they have been absolutely decimating our opponent's ability to make war right now. And a lot of that comes from a very strong, organized plan that Ryu and his lieutenants have in place. And that's great. Like, the ability to know that we don't need to worry about that, especially in the leadership of the military, to just say, hey, Ryu, here's a target. Go get it. And know that it's going to happen. Great.
Literally the ninjas of our alliance, like.
And that's by the way been another thing. Like, you mentioned Dragonborn. Dragonborn's been doing a lot of that too. In fact, I know that he actually had to step out of some of the targets that he originally was really excited about taking, to go and take on some more higher priority, lower lower visibility targets, the kind of ones that we can't necessarily talk about. And as a result, he kind of had to slip into this more of a covert style of raiding for a while. And we kind of backfilled that, and we had people step in to kind of take the targets that he was doing before. But I really want to say a big thank you for him, because I know that he's been getting out there and getting fleets, and that's great. That's great.
My last thing, this is like a sneak peek into
what is this?
So on Sunday we are going to do this live. So this is just a sneak peek into, this is the raffle thing that we did. Our raffle is going really, really well. We're closing in on 7 billion ISK total. Of course, about 5 of that is cost, but so we're netting about 2 billion right now. So thank you guys who attended. So what's gonna happen on Sunday? We're gonna have a special guest, secret guest, to come on a live stream, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna, let's see, does it work? Hope it works. So the secret guest is gonna spin this wheel, and so all the names, as you can see, there's 814 entries already. And then you would have a winner, okay?
Sorry, DNHQ, not today.
Not today. This is
DNHQ. This was a test, man.
This is just a test, just the test.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think what's great about this is that really, we call it a raffle, but it's the ISK from this is specifically going back into our corp members.
That's right.
It's funding it's going to fund a lot of things that are directly related to the alliance level.
That's right.
Just to kind of put this in perspective, there are a lot of alliances, coalitions out there that make their member corps or their member alliances pay a regular fee to the executor of that coalition. And we don't. We don't want any part of that style of management. And as a result, it means that if we want to make sure we've got a bit of a war chest for the future, to be able to assist in SRP and other things, this is one of the ways we're trying to do that. We're trying to have members donate ISK with the chance of winning something in return.
Yeah, I'm a carrier. All right.
Tribute to the atmosphere.
Honestly, I kind of want to
I saw your entry.
Any of those things would be great.
I haven't put in my entries yet. I'm gonna buy some tickets too. It's again, everybody's got a chance. Only for 10 million. You get a chance at a 5 billion. It's ship. Why not?
This is the only way I'm ever going to get a ship that nice. I mean, you don't realize I don't actually get to play this game that often.
Me too.
To be able to afford something like that, and until my corp's at the point where they're going to start SRPing Macarials, not for a while. I don't think I'm going to be sitting in one of those a while.
I'm not going to be skilling into that yet.
Well, I mean, the skill part comes along with skilling into other ships. Like that NATO in there looks pretty nice, and it would, that wouldn't take me too long to get into, but
yeah. More to come on those guys. Ooh.
Again, it's supporting the alliance and having some fun, and glad it's going well. So see you guys on Sunday when we live stream the results. The draw.
Sounds good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you
guys.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.